All right, day 5 of the second part of chapter 5. Rational root theorem. All right. The rational root theorem talks about the possible real solutions of a polynomial is the full list of factors of the constant term divided by factors of the leading coefficient. All right. So P and Q, constant over the LC. So here's my, I don't know why this is happening. Here's my constant. Here's my lead coefficient. All right. So factors of the constant on top. Plus and minus. Now, normally we say list plus and minus for each one, but we're just going to say plus and minus all of these. So 1 times 21 and 3 times 7. Yeah, that's a shortcut we're writing. Instead of doing plus and minus 1, plus and minus 3, let's just save the time. Plus and minus each one of those. Okay? And then on the bottom, plus or minus 1 and 2. Okay? All right. So find all the possible real zeros. So again, it's going to be this number over this number. Sometimes people like to do this to remind themselves. So plus and minus, plus and minus. Factors of 15 are 1 times 15, 3 times 5, that's all of them. Factors of 4, 1 times 4, and just 2 times itself. That's it. Again, I don't know why this is printing this way. All right, so again, it's going to be 36 and 2. Now remember, we're not dividing that and making 18. That's not what we're talking about here. It's not really a fraction. It's just showing you the numbers. All right, so on the top, plus and minus, 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, and 4 times 9. Oh, and 6 times 6. Got to squeeze that one in there. And then on the bottom, plus or minus 1 and 2. Okay? Those are all the possibilities, all right, of factors. Now, when we look at this, dividing by 1 just means all those numbers on top. Dividing by 2, you're going to kind of cancel. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. It's already covered. All right? So what we're really talking about here, actually is plus or minus 1, okay? Actually, 1/2 is what I meant to say, because we're dividing 1 by 2, all right? 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's covered. So 2. 3 divided by 2 is 3 halves, 1 1/2. 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2, that's already covered. 6 divided by 2 is 3, that's already covered. So 6. 9 divided by 2, 9. 12 divided by 2 is 6, we've got that. 18 divided by 2 is 9, we've already got that. So 18. And then 36 divided by 2 is 18, we already got that. So those are all the possible ones. It's fewer than it looks initially. Now we're going to do synthetic division. So remember though, on synthetic division, we have a 3, we have a 2, we don't have a 1. We don't have a 0x. So we need to account for that. So it's going to be 2, 13, 0, and negative 36. Now, what number goes in the box? Instead of now technically you should try all of these and plug them in, but again, let's let the calculator help us do the heavy lifting. So we pull up the calculator, hopefully it works, all right? We go to y equals, clear out whatever's in there, and put in 2x to the 3rd power. Come down, plus 13x squared, minus 36. If you want to graph it and see what it looks like, it's going to be cubic. Okay? And then we go here to the table. Now, obviously, you can see there's a 0 at -6, 1 at -2, and that's it. So we should have 3 zeros. That means one of them is a fractional answer. Okay? So we don't always find all the zeros here. So you can pick which one you want to use, -6 or -2. I prefer to make life easy, so -2 leads to smaller numbers. Okay? Drop the 2, multiply by -2, add straight down, that's 9. Multiply by -2, add straight down, multiply by -2, add straight down. So we start with cubic, so this is going to be 2x squared plus 9x minus 18. Now remember, this is x plus 2. We want to write that down here to remind us of that's being one of the factors. Now we're going to factor 2x and x. We need factors of 18 that will work, so 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Now, here's a little hint. We know that 6 is one of the answers, so let's just put 6 here and 3 here. That gives us 3. That gives us 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. We want more positives than negatives. So 2 times 6 is 12. We want positive and the minus there. There are our 3 binomials. And that means we would have -2, -6, which we saw on the calculator. And then off to the side, 2x minus 3 equals 0. Add 3 to both sides. Divide by 2, 3 halves. Those are our 3 zeros. Those are our 3 roots, our 3 solutions. And notice, 3 halves was one of ours, 2 and 6. All right, so what are the steps? List out all the possible zeros using P over Q. Use synthetic division to find one that makes the remainder 0. Okay, again, here's the cheat. Use the calculator to find that first one, and then use synthetic division from there on out. Write the remaining equation, factor, and solve for the remaining numbers. All right, possible zeros. Plus or minus on top, 1, 3, 5, 15. On the bottom, simply 1, which means basically it's those 4 numbers doubled, so 8 possible zeros. So we have a 3, we have a 2, we have a 1, we have a 0. So we have 1, -17, 15. There are 8 possibilities. Yes, you can try one, and if it doesn't work, try it again. But I'm fine with you saving yourself the energy and use the calculator to find the first one. It will just make your life easier. So x to the 3rd power plus x squared minus 17x plus 15. Go to the table. There, right there, -5. That's one of them. There's 1 and 3. So we know right now, -5, 1, and 3. We know the answer. The beauty of this is you still have to show the work, but you know the answer. There's no reason not to get this right. It also helps you with the factoring. So let's put 1 in here. It's the easiest number. Drop the 1, multiply by 1. Add straight down, multiply. Add straight down, multiply, add straight down. Now remember, this 1 here means x minus 1. So we're going to write that down here before we go any further. So this is x squared plus 2x minus 15. We need 2 numbers that multiply, give me 15, that differ by 2. We already know what they are in this case. We won't always, but we know here. So x, 5, x, 3. Now we want more positives than negatives. We know the answer is -5, which means this is +5, and -3. So there's our factored form. And what are our three numbers? Okay, 1, -5, and 3, which in this case, we already knew. All right, so for this one, we're going to put in our graphing calculator. So -x to the third power, come down, plus 12x, plus 16. Get an idea what it looks like. We've got a bounce, obviously. Go to our table, look for our zeros. Looks like we have -2. And 4. -2 and 4. And again, if we look at that, we already have a general idea what it looks like. It comes down like this, goes up over here, goes down like so. So we already know what the graph looks like. The degree is obviously cubic. The lead coefficient, though, pay attention, is -1. For some reason, this part disappeared. But as x goes towards -infinity, it's going to go, as it goes left, it's going up. And as it's going right, it's going down. Sorry, I don't know why that disappeared. Okay, factored form. Obviously, we have intercepts at -2, which has a bounce, so that's 2, and +4, which goes through, so that's a 1. So to get a -2, we need x plus 2, and we need 2 of them. And for 4, we need x minus 4, and that's our factored form. Right? Here, the possible zeros, okay? We have plus or minus, and then we have, for 30, we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30, all over plus or minus 1 or 2. So use synthetic division to find the first solution. So again, we have 3, 2, 1, 0. We just need to find out what goes in the box. So 2, -7, -7, and 30. So I'm going to go to my calculator and let it do the heavy lifting again. And I'm going to clear this out. If I can get my calculator to work. Don't know what's happening there. There we go. So 2x to the third power minus, that's a plus, minus 7x squared minus 7x plus 30. So I get an idea what it looks like. Looks like maybe -2 and 3 or 4. So I go to my table. There's one at -2. There's one at 3. So -2 and 3. Looks like the other one might be a fractional answer. So let's go with, I'll do 3. So drop the 2, multiply by 3, that's 6. Subtract, add straight down, times by 3, add straight down, times by 3, and that gives me 0, which is what it should. So now I started with a cubic, so that's going to be x squared right here. X squared minus x minus 10 equals 0. Now for this one, I need to factor. Obviously, it's going to be 2x and x. But remember, a little bit of a cheat. I know -2 is going to be one of my options. So 2 times 5, that will give me 5. That will give me 4. That's what I want for -1. I want more negatives. So I want the 5 to be negative and this to be positive. And there are my, okay, this is x minus 3, 2x minus 5, and x plus 2. And therefore my zeros are going to be 3, 5 halves, and negative 2. And remember at the beginning I said negative 2 and 3. And that was correct. Right. I believe it was the last one. Yep. Last one. So I get my calculator. Again, let it help me. I already have it in there, so I'm going to hit graph. We know what it looks like. So negative 2 and 3. Now obviously you can see by looking at it that at 3 it dips a little bit below 3, like slightly. So it's going to come up like so, come back down, and go almost immediately back up. What that other 0 is, we don't know. It's a fraction, right? It is a degree of 3, lead coefficient of 2. Again, as it goes left, it's going down. Sorry, that didn't show up. And as it goes right, it goes up. Again, my factored form we just had. So that was x minus 3, x plus 2, and 2x minus 5, which is where the 2.5 comes in is right there. So it's actually hitting right there at 2.5. Let's change that to red. So you can see where that point is at 2.5 where it comes down. Then it comes back up through the 3 right there. So my 3 intercepts are 3, the negative 2, and the 2.5 or 5 halves, which is from the previous screen. So they're all a multiplicity of 1, and that's it.